the northeastern part of India. Before the coming of Christianity, the Mizo lived life closely connected to the natural world around them. Their social and individual lives were dictated by the laws and forces of nature, the sun and the moon, the rain and the wind, the hills and the rivers, and the natural cycle of seasons. This was largely reflected in their stories, songs, proverbs, and folk tales. Likewise, Mizo religion in the pre-Christian era was animistic in nature. The Mizo were guided by a strong belief in the supernatural world, in the powers of spirits who lived in the hills, the trees of the forest, streams, and caves. The Mizo people are always known to have a communitarian lifestyle, and a significant aspect of this communitarian lifestyle is strongly sustained by their collective love for music. Festivals, ceremonies, rituals, and social gatherings were incomplete without songs and dances. It may be rightly said that the Mizo were blessed with the gift of composition, as they were quick to compose rhymes and tunes for almost every occasion and important incidents in their daily life. For instance, after a successful village raid, the victory would be proclaimed in the form of a chant called Durtlang, which was usually performed by the warriors. The purpose of the victory chant was to ensure safe passage for the souls of the slain enemies, with the hope that when they meet their death, the souls of the enemies they had slain would guide them through Biennial, which is considered to be the final resting place of the dead.
Sai đâu ra từ biển quê cả ta về rim nam bay thăm xem mẹ ai kim mi tiêu lo Sumpi thoke adu kanti natlay oke kepe thok ve inko mi shai dulai ketlay oke
is considered to be the oldest Mizo song composition, with the name Darmani as a tribute to the lady who composed the tune. The entire village would sing together in unison and dance to the rhythm of the tune.
Darmani zai kan sim lai
As the years passed by, there came a day when the hills of Mizoram finally saw the light of the gospel. On 15th March 1891, the British missionaries set their first step on the soil of Mizoram, and since then, we have continued to observe this day as the day of the arrival of the gospel. The first missionary to set foot in Mizoram was none other than the Welsh Presbyterian missionary, Reverend William Williams, who was then the editor of the first Khasi newspaper, Unong Kit Kubor. This was followed by the arrival of Reverend F.W. Savage and Reverend J.H. Lorraine on 11th January 1894 to be the first official missionaries sent to Mizoram. These brave men of God brought about important social changes in Mizo society. On March 1894, they brought the gift of literacy to the Mizo when they drafted the Mizo alphabet A or B. This was followed by the translation of the Bible into Mizo language, the translation of gospel hymns, and the introduction of education to the Mizo people. The missionaries were well aware of the importance of music in the Mizo community, and they were quick to instrumentalize it to spread the gospel among the people. The translation of English hymns to Mizo and composing Mizo songs with English tunes became important parts of their early evangelical work. However, the coming of Christianity had its own challenges in the face of traditional practices. An important Mizo musical instrument, known as the kwang, a drum made from the skin of animals, was discarded by the early Christians. The Mizo kwang was deemed to be unacceptable as an instrument of worship. The early Christians considered the kwang as a symbol of worldliness, an instrument solely to be used for secular purpose, and something in close connection with drinking and intoxication. Another challenge was that the lyrics and tune of the early Christian hymns, composed and translated by the missionaries, were something entirely different from the traditional Mizo songs and tunes. Many chiefs and village elders strongly opposed the new religion, which they saw as a cultural intrusion. Amidst this tension between the new religion and the old cultural practices was born the famous Pumasai. Pumasai brought back the traditional Mizo style of singing, and it quickly became a popular trend. There were also some who saw the Pumasai as an obstruction to the growth and development of Christianity. As the Pumasai rose in popularity, the early Christians feared that Mizo society might go back to the old religion. But the flame of the gospel continued to shine brighter than ever when Mizoram witnessed a revival which paved way for a new trend in music. The new gospel music was well suited to the Mizo sentiment, and the tune and rhythm was close to the heart of the Mizo. Out of the revivals were born significant composers who would later become important personalities in the history of Mizo music and literature. These composers catered to the needs of the Mizo Christians who were longing for songs that blend together the elements of Christianity and Mizo culture. Such type of song was known as Leng Khomla, a genre that became unique to the Mizo style of singing. Mizo Leng Khomzai was not just merely a musical genre, it became an important unifying factor which brought together the different Christian denominations within Mizoram. Between 1920 to 1936, With the birth of such kind of musical genre and the frequent revivals, Christianity continued to spread like wildfire through the hills of Mizoram, and the secular songs gradually lost their popularity. The gospel revivals during this period brought another significant change, which is the popularity of dance and the return of the Mizo Kwang into the fold of the church. With the return of the Kwang as an instrument of worship in the church, there was great increase in the number of church members and new converts. The Mizo Kwang was no longer a symbol of worldliness, but an important part of the church worship service. Mizo composers not only composed gospel songs, but folk songs and songs about nationalism. At the onset of the 20th century, there was a tremendous increase in the popularity of gospel songs. One of the most prominent pioneers was Rokunga, whose contribution to Mizo music was so significant that he was given the title Poet of the Century. He left us a treasure trove of folk and cultural songs which celebrate the beauty of the Mizo landscape, lifestyle and values, Mizo Christmas songs and gospel songs which still retain their popularity till today. His greatest composition, Ro Mingyal Sakangtse, is an artistic blend of Western musical tune and the Mizo folk tune, a fine lyrical combination of the gospel and cultural element, a song which rightly pleases the Mizo sentiment. The gift of music brought by the gospel became a significant part of Mizo history. In the late 1970s and in the early 1980s, the Mizo choir went on a singing tour to Canada and Wales, earning them recognition for their outstanding performances. Today, music continues to occupy a central space in the life of the Mizo Christians. Tracing back the journey of Mizo music through the years, it is only because of the gift of the gospel, the selfless efforts of the missionaries and the early Mizo Christians that we are blessed with a rich treasury of gospel hymns and songs that retains the Mizo cultural touch. The gospel has given us a new genre of music which continues to inspire young musicians, poets and composers till today. Music has become a valuable connecting link of Mizo people living in different parts of the world, a binding thread that holds together different church denominations in the state, an inspirational force that fosters cultural unity and integrity, and an undying testimony of what the gospel has given us. Go forth into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature.